What's going on, everyone? So, yeah, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. I mean, that dude is just insanely dominant. What we saw yesterday was a complete masterclass in just utter domination. This is a guy that clearly took this personal. You heard all the noise, heard all the chirping, go down 2-0, all of a sudden win 3 straight games. I mean, they might not lose another game the rest of the way, at least against Minnesota. Denver's going to be in the finals again. I mean, it's that simple. They're going to handle business. They're going to beat Minnesota. There was a moment there where it looked like, oh, hey, Minnesota, right? They're here. They're looking good. I bought into the hype. A lot of people bought into the hype. And Denver just picked it up a notch. And it's been child's play for Denver, right? Like, especially Jokic. Every game against the Lakers, they let the Lakers get double-digit lead. Let's let them get a 20-point lead and see what happens. And every time they win. They go up against Minnesota. Hey, let's go down 2-0 for the first time. Just see what happens. All right. And then come back, get it done. And then next round they're going to play Dallas or OKC. They're going to be like, hey, let's go down 3-0 and just be the first team ever to come back and do that. Like, it's just, and look, Nikola Jokic, again, you're never going to stop him. You're not. You're talking about a team that has 2 legit 7-footers. They were running all 3 of their big men in Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, and Karl Anthony Towns, and still could do nothing to slow down Jokic. Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, just 1 Defensive Player of the Year, and, I mean, he might as well not even been out there. I mean, it looked like I was guarding Jokic out there. It wasn't even a contest. And a lot of people, and I talked about this during the playoff run, against the playoff matchup against Denver. I talked about this last year, right? So many people are like, we have to get a center for Jokic. We have to get a center for Jokic. You got to get a big body center that can, stop Jokic and slow him down. You got to get somebody that can defend Jokic. That doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. The guy that is the best and most equipped Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert, he might as well, he was a little kid out there. Literally a little kid. Anthony Davis is, in my opinion, the best defensive big in the entire league. Did as good of a job as you possibly could on Jokic, and it didn't matter. Who are you going to get to slow down Jokic? Now, I'm not saying the Lakers don't need another center, but it's like I've talked about in the past, right? If the Lakers can go get, Valanciunas, or if they, get an Andre Drummond or something like that, they definitely need a more veteran big man. Like, I'm not arguing that, but the idea of like Lakers just need to get somebody to stop Jokic. You got to get a big man for Jokic. It doesn't exist. He's the best player in the world. He's too dominant. There's not another guy in the league that can match up well against him, especially in the playoffs. Right? You see some guys have a little success in the regular season and stuff like that. Rudy Gobert's had some success in the regular season. When Jokic decides, like, I'm going to go drop a 40-piece, there's nothing you can do. The Lakers' problem isn't Nikola Jokic. I've said this for 2 years now, or a year and a half now, right? However long it's been since the last year that we've played Denver twice. I have repeated it over and over and over again. It is not Nikola Jokic that's our problem. Let him go drop 40, 10, and 10. That's not the problem. Everyone thinks that they have the blueprint, right? We heard Micah. There was a whole video where he talked about, everyone has talked about it. You either got to make Jokic a playmaker or a scorer. You got to take your pick. Can't let him be both. Blah, 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 blah. And he's both every time, no matter what you do. Minnesota has been one of the best defensive teams we've seen in a decade, if not longer. And they are helpless to stop Denver. You're not going to stop Jokic. What you need to get a big man, because you need good size, right? You need also a guy that can come in and spell Anthony Davis, that you can play alongside Anthony Davis, so AD can play the 4 at times. I'm all for going and getting another center, 100%, right? I'm not arguing that we shouldn't get another center. We should. But the idea of like, we have to trade, we have to do whatever, sell the assets. Like, I talk about like, oh, we need to go get athleticism out on the wing, or we need to go get a DeJounte Murray, or a Donovan Mitchell, or whomever, right? Like, just guys, for example. And I get so many comments that are like, we don't need any of that. You need to get a center. Why? For what? Again, you're not stopping Jokic. You need to match talent. And on top of matching talent, you need to be able to get guys that can match out to the other guys. I made an entire video talking about the matchup between Denver and the Lakers before we got into that matchup. Talked about Anthony Davis, talked about LeBron. I talked about how those two guys were going to essentially neutralize and offset Jokic and Murray. Guess what happened? They did. But I said in that video, it's going to come down to the other guys. I literally mapped out pretty much that entire playoff series. And guess what? Their guys showed up, ours didn't. Again, it's not Jokic. Anthony Davis does about as good of a job as you possibly can on Jokic. Right? We need everyone else to pick it up. That's why you go get some athleticism out on the perimeter. You go get some guys that can crash the boards. Most of the offensive rebounds that we give up this past season weren't on the interior. It was loose balls that were getting tracked down. Aaron Gordon even. Right? A lot of it was just loose balls getting tracked down. Right? If we get guys out on the perimeter that have this foot speed, that have the size, the length, and the agility to go track down those loose balls, we're going to be better defensively. We're going to be better rebounding. We're going to be everything. Right? Like Aaron Gordon was going down and tracking those loose balls. Jamal Murray, KCP, Michael Porter Jr., these guys, they were chasing down and tracking down the loose balls. The Lakers guys weren't, because you got D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura, who are all too slow. They don't have the foot speed to go track down and get those offensive rebounds or get the defensive rebounds, right? But you look at Denver and it's like Aaron Gordon, he's everywhere. If we would have had Jared Vanderbilt, I definitely think he would have helped, right? Like, he's a guy that has the foot speed and can go track that down. That's why I keep talking about, like, a center is the least of our worries. It is. It's the least of our worries. Again, we didn't lose to Denver because we didn't have another center. It wasn't like if we had Dwight Howard, we beat Denver. Even LeBron talked about, it wasn't Jokic, it wasn't Murray, it was Michael Porter Jr. who killed us. You think adding, let's say we even had Valanciunas, right? Like, we probably don't change anything because Michael Porter Jr. is still killing us. Right? Maybe you could argue because the games are so tight and so marginal that, a guy like Valanciunas may have been able to give you, 15 a game or something like that. So, yes, maybe in that regard. But as far as, like, slowing down, stopping Jokic and being the difference, no. It's everybody else that keeps killing us. We need to worry about everyone else. You're never going to stop Jokic. We didn't lose to Denver because Jokic was just so incredibly dominant that we had no answer. No, it was Michael Porter Jr. playing like he was prime Klay Thompson and dropping 27 a game. It was Aaron Gordon averaging 12 rebounds a game and tracking it down and getting us. Right? And I understand that people look at it and go, oh, but if we had another big man, we wouldn't have got... Again, go back and look at some of those sequences. Right? So, great example, game 2. The rebound that Aaron Gordon got, right, was on, a fast break play where Jokic tried to throw it up. It didn't happen. It hit the rim. Boom. Aaron Gordon's in the right place, tracks it down, kicks it out to Michael Porter Jr. He hits a 3. All of a sudden, they go on to win. If we had another center, that same sequence happens, if not just as bad. Right? Because, again, it wasn't a set sequence play. It was them running full speed down the court. Even if our center is a trailer, Aaron Gordon still gets that, kicks it out. Anthony Davis was out there trying to block and defend. Like, again, it wasn't like most of the problematic issues from Aaron Gordon were tracking down loose balls that a Valanciunas wouldn't have gotten. A Dwight Howard wouldn't have gotten. Because they were long, loose balls. We need guys out on the perimeter. Center we need to get, obviously, just overall talent, right? You need upgrades and legit two-way players. So talent is probably the biggest thing that we need, but we need youth and athleticism out on the perimeter. We need versatility out on the perimeter. We need guys that can chase down and go toe-to-toe, guys that aren't afraid of the moment. Center is probably like the fifth thing on the list because you're not going to stop Jokic. You have the team that is the best, most well-equipped team in the entire league right now. There is nobody built better to combat Denver than the Minnesota Timberwolves are. That includes Boston. Right? And guess what? Denver is running through them like they're not even there. They have the two bigs, the defense player of the year. They have a superstar in Anthony. They have literally everything you could ask for. Versatile, twitchy, athletic wings out on the perimeter, chasing guys around. One of the best defenses we've seen in a decade. Everything you could ask for. Literally everything that you would think. If you could build a team to stop and beat Denver, Minnesota is about as close to that team as you can get. And they have no answer. Zero. And what? We're going to get somebody in free agency? There is nobody in free agency. Oh, we're going to get somebody via trade? There is nobody available via trade. That player doesn't exist. He doesn't exist. Name me a guy that's stopping Jokic. People throw out Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard looked pedestrian. And what was it, in Taiwan that he was playing in? Again, people shared and highlighted his big games. He had a couple huge games where he gave you 40, 20. But actually go watch some of those games. Don't just watch the big moment highlights. You can find the games. You can watch the games. Dwight Howard, he's not changing. He's not stopping. Jokic is not even the same player he was in 2020. And Dwight's almost 40. Right? You're talking Rudy Gobert, who is literally the defensive player of the year and is looked at as one of the best, if not the best, equipped players to slow down Jokic. Anthony Davis, who played as good of defense as you possibly can on Jokic. None of these guys, you talk about the two best defensive big men in the league, had no answer and could not stop Jokic. And you think what? Bringing in Dwight Howard's going to change? Dwight Howard's going to be the difference? No. Unless Dwight Howard's coming in to break some arms or something. No. It's doing nothing. You're not going to stop Jokic. You need to match everybody else. You need to keep Jamal Murray from being Michael Jordan. You need to keep Michael Porter Jr. from being prime Klay Thompson. You need to keep KCP from being, another prime Klay Thompson. And Aaron Gordon, you need to stop him from being Kevin McHale. Right? You need to knock. You got to stop those guys. Combat those guys. If you do that, you win. You'll be in good shape. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, though. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? You somewhere in between. What did you think of Jokic's just masterclass? Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.